boy. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Oh boy, here I go with these eyelashes. Anyway, so good afternoon. I started recording about 2 days ago, and apparently I'm still in the learning process. So things I've recorded may not appear because apparently I put in the wrong information as I was uploading the video or whatever it's called. So it's early days yet, but I'm still learning. And so I'm going to reintroduce myself because I don't think you guys really know based on the mess up I did with the video I tried to put out here 2 days ago. Anyway, I am Kathleen Fraser. I'm a retired teacher. I retired in 2016. I worked in the school system. I was an English teacher. I had a lot of wonderful students. I had some good times because many of my students were wonderful. I taught for over 26 years, and now I'm just, as my students would say, living my best life, doing other things that I love to do. Like I'm a writer by trade, I'm a writer. I write plays, I write poetry, I write, period. I write. My most popular things to write happens to be poetry and plays. So, right now, what I'm going to discuss with you is something that you could share with your teenagers in high school. Because as a teacher, when I was a teacher, I noticed that students had problems understanding literary devices, because they had to do English regions and stuff of that nature. But let me explain about the English regions. I was so pleased that in the last year of my teaching experience, many of my students received 100 on their English regions. And I was like, wow, what a wonderful gift. Because I have a friend, right? I lost contact with her, unfortunately. I'm going to try to find her. We had worked in two schools together, but then I transferred to another school, and she was still in the school that I used to work at. So the students from the school that I worked in, they were sent to the school she worked in to take the English regions. So I remember a day in 2016 when she called me. She asked me, "Is this you?" She said, "Is this your students?" She said to me. I said, "Yeah." She said, "Your students got hundreds on the English regions," and it was quite a lot of them got hundreds on the English regions. And I broke a record actually, because that hasn't happened for other teachers in the school that I worked in. So that was a great record and a great accomplishment. And I was so happy. And I said to myself, what a wonderful retirement gift. And not only did a lot of my students get 100 on the English regions, students that I didn't even think were paying attention in class. Okay, I had students who were like repeat, what is called 11th graders. They failed their English classes. And so I was lucky to get them. I don't know if I would call it lucky because they gave me thrills in the classroom. I mean, they were not paying attention, a lot of them. But I was pleasantly pleased that even though these students were left back and their scores were under 40, some in their 20s actually, their scores on the English regions went up to the 80s and the 90s. I was pleasantly pleased by this. It really, really touched me. And I knew this because my ex colleague from the other school called me, and more than one student in particular. This one guy in particular. I wish I could recall his name. He said, "Miss Fraser, you thought I wasn't paying attention, right, in class? But I was paying attention." He said, "Miss Fraser, look, I got 94." Well, I'm sorry, guys. I was shocked. I was so shocked that this student got a 94 because I'm like, he used to be in class talking and ignoring me and not doing his homework and whatnot. because sometimes that's what students do. They talk, they don't pay attention, but he got a 94. He got a 94. He got a 94. And prior, he had failed. He was a repeat 11th grader like 3 times. He failed his English classes as well. So that's why he had to repeat. And not only that, the English regions, he went from a 30 something to a 94 people. That meant so much to me, that this particular student. And he was laughing and smiling and all of that. And like, you thought I wasn't paying attention, right? But he and Miss Fraser, I got a 94. I will never forget that. Unfortunately, I forgot his name. But I know who told me that. A student. He used to give me a hard time when I tried to get him to be quiet and listen. He actually got a 94. Yeah, because in actuality, I really came up with some innovative ways to help them to learn, and I guess it really, really worked, and I didn't realize it. So this is something I'll remember for the rest of my life. Um, Students getting hundreds on the English regions, which is practically unheard in this school, and like for one teacher, for them to all these students to be getting hundreds, and from students going into the 20s to the 80s and the 30s to 94. That was amazing to me. I'll always remember that. And then I had this other student. When she first came to my class, oh my God, this student didn't like me, not at all. It took her a minute to realize that talked to them the way I did because I cared about them, because I wanted them to be successful. And this student became my greatest champion at the end of it all. She actually led the class into a standing ovation for me. That's something else I'll never forget. And may God just bless her and her descendants. That was a beautiful moment. That's a moment that I will never, ever forget. I remember I wasn't feeling well. And she went to get my supervisor because she was so concerned. She said, like, Miss Fraser, you're not well. And I'm trying to pretend like I am, but I really wasn't. And at this point, she so loved me, this girl. I appreciate her. I appreciate her caring about how I was because I wasn't feeling too well that day, that particular day. And the reason why I was so concerned for my students is because I had a daughter who died. As a matter of fact, October 2nd, yesterday would have been her birthday. It was her birthday, actually, October 2nd. She was 13 months when she died. I almost died along with her, and because I came down with a deadly disease and it was very contagious. I was hospitalized, and everyone who was in contact with me, they had to see the doctor to get special antibiotics, and they had me in isolation for quite a few weeks. And my daughter died while I was in isolation. I didn't even make it to a funeral. I'm not trying to be a downer right now, guys. I'm just like, her birthday was yesterday. So I'm bringing it up because it's relevant to what I'm talking about. I treated my students like they were my own children. And I did that in memory of my daughter because my daughter didn't get a chance to grow up, to become a teenager, to go to high school or do anything. So I treated my students as though they were my own children. And I wanted them to succeed. I wanted them to be successful. And I poured myself and my soul into my job. There were challenges on the job because we don't work in a vacuum. But anyway, I had some memorable experiences. And I remember teaching the students how to write plays and poetry and even screenplays. I helped my students with, to give them, things that maybe they could get into as a career, try to open up their understanding to various things in life. I tried to help them to understand that they could accomplish in life. They could make things happen for themselves, but they have to be determined. They have to be determined. And even though things may happen from time to time, not so good things, they have to keep pressing on and make good choices. And okay, so basically, I'm going to share something with you about similes. Similes is simply a comparison using like or as. And one of the things I helped the students with was with literary devices. And apparently it worked because a lot of them scored 100 on their English regions. And students that I didn't expect to do well scored 80 and above. So I guess I did something right. So I wrote out some similes yesterday when I was hanging out with my mom. My mother, by the way, she's suffering from Alzheimer dementia, and and she's incapacitated. She cannot talk, walk, or anything, and it's very sad to look at. But let me just refocus for a minute. So while I was at her bedside, I came up with these similes to show you what a simile is. It's a comparison using the word like or as. So here is a simile. His smile is like a hug. So I'm comparing his smile, whoever he is, to a hug. His smile is compared to a hug. So apparently his smile must be so beautiful and wonderful that it makes you feel like if he is hugging you. And here is another simile. He smells like love. Now, isn't that beautiful, guys? He smells like love. That is so beautiful. Whatever love means to you, he smells like love. So, love is a beautiful thing. So, you get the point. His smell is like love. And don't take it there because when I wrote it, I wasn't thinking about that, guys. But after I wrote it, then I said, oh my gosh, this could be taken to another level. But keep your minds clean, okay? And here is another literary device. His voice is like classical music. His voice is like classical music. So his voice is being compared to classical music. I happen to love classical music. It's so beautiful and it transports you to another time and place. So you see, it's not complicated at all. Her smile is like sunset. I decided to throw in a female in there. Her smile is like sunset. So her smile is so beautiful. Well, sunset can be beautiful. I like sunsets. Anyway, these are certain devices that we automatically use when we write. It could be poetry, it could be prose. When I say prose, I mean ordinary writing, like you're writing a letter, or you're writing a short story or something to that effect, But right now I'm focusing on similes, and I use a lot of similes. I use a lot of literary devices when I write my poetry. All right. And here's another one. Let me see. Let me see some more I have written here. Oh, listen to this one, guys. Her, well, I actually wrote his. His personality is sour like lemon. Now, you're getting the picture, right, about similes. Now, let's see. I have a lot here. I have others written here. His excuse me, guys. His ears look like pears. Hmm. I'm having a moment here now. My throat is just itching, and I don't have COVID. It's just this. Anyway, his ears look like pears. Could you visualize that? His ears look like pears. And it rhymes too. Rhyme is another literary device. Another simile, the rice came out watery like the inside of a watermelon. So here, the consistency of rice is being compared to the inside of a watermelon. I think you got that by now, right? Oh, look at this one. You can make jokes with similes. You can make jokes with a lot of literary devices. Her head is shaped like a cantaloupe. Whatever a cantaloupe is shaped like, her head is being compared to the shape of a cantaloupe. Her breath smells like rotten eggs. How is that, guys? Her breath smells like rotten eggs. Well, her breath is really humming if it smells like rotten eggs. All right, so I have a few more, but I'm going to stop there because I think you got the point because it's not really complicated. And then, of course, metaphors is another comparison without using like or as. But I'm going to get into that another time. This is just a brief video just to say hi, introduce myself, or reintroduce myself because I don't think the other two recordings that I did, I'm not sure that it took or it's really, really visible. So, welcome everyone. I'm so happy for those of you who are here today to be here at the beginning of, well, the kind of beginning, the sort of beginning, because my beginning, I am not sure if it is recorded and, well, if it could reach you, because I applied the wrong tabs to those prior recordings. So thanks for this time with you. I appreciate you. And I'll see you next time. You have a blessed day. Remember, God is your source. God is your source. Have a blessed day.